On today's video, the good old question was raised once more. Is it worth starting to play Rise of Kingdoms in 2020? In this video, we're going to go over the goods, the bads, and everything you need to know before you start playing Rise of Kingdoms, because this game is addictive. It's at its best place for you to start a game, and I'll explain that why in the video, and much more. We'll also have a few folks from the community down below in the comments letting us know what they feel about the game, so that's another place for you to get some information from folks in the community. So sit back, drop a like on the video, and yeah. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Today, a question has been asked, not only whether I should start playing Rise of Kingdoms, is this a game worth getting into, but also I've been asked, like, why do I still play the game? And so I figured we'd hit two nails with one shot in this video. Before we start though, I am a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms. If you enjoy the content, hit a like on the video, and of course subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get a notification. Every single day we do Rise of Kingdoms content. Wednesdays and Saturdays we stream live, 4 p.m. UTC. Streams have been popping lately. You don't want to miss those out. That disclaimer also means one more thing about this video, which is I am a sponsored creator. What that entails is that I essentially make content with the backing of Lilith Gaming. What that doesn't mean, however, is that Lilith tells us what to post about, what any video or anything that we do. They have absolutely no control of that. They have absolutely no control about what we say and how we say it, and that is for all sponsored content creators. And they truly don't even care. So long as we're not doing something that compromises the game's future developments, such as revealing a APK version of the commander that is not really real, which is obtained in a bad way, they don't care. They don't care about what we say. And that's the cool thing about this sponsorship, is that we can actually make content that we choose what to say, right? And so take that with a grain of salt though. I am a sponsored content creator, just so you know. I'm going to do my best not to be biased, but if I sound a bit biased, it's part of the game, right? No, not Rise of Kingdoms game, but you get my point. Anyway, let's start with the goods of this game, then we'll go to the bads, and then talk a little bit about my experience. The first good thing about Rise of Kingdoms at this stage in 2020 is that there is a stupendous selection of legendary commanders available and out. And with this kind of a selection, you now have much more information as to which commanders are the better ones and which ones are the worst ones. So if you're starting right now, you are not going to have to spend a good amount of your money or energy or time into investigating newer commanders. You can look through the content available on YouTube, on Discord, everywhere and anywhere, and figure out which commanders are the ones you want to work on. This is a huge advantage for new players, because when we were playing the game, we saw these commanders come out firsthand and didn't really know which ones are the best ones to invest in and which ones are not. And so having the longevity of about 2 years worth of a game that you already can know what's coming next is really useful for you to be able to spend the least to make the most. This goes into a negative. I guess we'll go into positive, negative to make it a little more balanced. A negative in here would be that Rise of Kingdoms is indeed a pay-to-win game and a pay-to-progress game. Progress in the sense of quicker, rather than you don't have to spend to progress per se, but the more you spend, the better off you are. A pay-to-win game. By spending good amounts of money on the game, you can bring yourself forward much quicker. By doing that, you can also allow yourself to get more commanders expertise, as every week you can potentially unlock more legendary commanders, which will cost you gems, which will cost you money. The bottom line is, the unfortunate part is that this is indeed a pay-to-win game where players can be 90 million power, and that's a very decent, good place to be at. But there are also folks who are 800 and 600 and 800 million power who spent a huge amount of money and do have a very strong advantage over you. It doesn't mean that the game is not necessarily balanced. There is a little bit of injustices more and more towards free-to-play players, because at the end of the day, the paying customers tend to be the ones that get catered the most. That's how most businesses work, right? But there is a huge community of free-to-play players. I understand from them as I'm trying to be part of their community and learn it in our free-to-play series, that it is fun for a free-to-play player, that there is what to do, that there's a lot of strong free-to-play players. I can tell you there are 90 million power free-to-play players, such as Death in JWM, a 91 million free-to-play player. There are a lot of those out there. There are a lot of free-to-play players. There's a big community, and there's also a lot of information for that. So it evens itself out. You have a lot of commanders. It does cost money to get yourself further ahead quicker, but there is still the possibility for free-to-play content to be there, and it's very enjoyable, especially because the game has a reward system where folks spending money in your alliance will help you progress. So that's a good thing, except for with my luck, we keep getting silver keys out of gold chests. 10 out of 10 on that one. Point number 3, which will be a positive one, is that just like in Commanders, there is a timeline of about 2 years worth of content that you can expect. Events all over the place that continually happen, from Soroli Crisis, ROK Ceremony, Mightiest Governors. You already know which Mightiest Governors are going to happen when, and Kingdom versus Kingdom events where multiple kingdoms get together on the same map and duke it out. You have pretty much enough content in the sense of in-game content gameplay that you can pretty comfortably enjoy the next 4 or 5 months of your time, knowing exactly what's coming up next and preparing yourself for it and playing it and enjoying it. So this is something that I really enjoy about Rise of Kingdoms, is that Rise of Kingdoms does have a timeline, and so you can run into people who migrated to younger kingdoms from older kingdoms that will have more of an advantage because they have things that you haven't seen yet. However, in most cases, folks are able to get through the gameplay and get through the chronological order of the game and really enjoy it. And the fact that it exists for so long means that you know what's coming next and you can prepare for it better. The downside of that, and that's the negative of all this, is that you do have individuals who migrate to younger kingdoms with more commanders available, and that does cause an imbalance in the game. For example, Lost Kingdom or Kingdom vs. Kingdom Season 2, as a reward, you get this beautiful commander named Wu Zetian. Now, Wu Zetian is one of the better mixed troops garrison commander in that particular time of the game, but as you progress through Season 3 and on, she starts dropping off in usability. But folks have migrated backwards to the point where they have her expertised before she was even available on the chronological order of the game, and that really caused issues in KVK Season 2 because now people are using her, even though those who are native to that kingdom, not migrators, haven't even had the opportunity to have her yet. So that's a negative and positive there for you. Let's go into another positive, which is the community is really, really, really awesome and fairly big. In the comments down below, those of you who are part of the community are welcome to let the folks know what you think about the game. What are the goods? What are the bads? Whatever you choose to say, the comments will be there. Quite honestly, I'm expecting a lot of hate and lag and stuff like that, but also a lot of folks who really enjoy the game because people tend to complain but still play the game, right? So that's kind of weird. A positive in here is the mechanics in this game. The ability for you to choose a march and just send it out to walk on the open field, and you can pretty much do whatever you want with that march. You can move it around, you can send it to gather, you can send it to attack, you can send it to do anything on the field as you request, is a really, really, really cool feature, something that I hadn't seen before. The ability of not just sending a march here and watch it go, but the ability to actually tell it to change directions, to stop what it's doing, or to revert its action, sending it back home and giving you AP points back, right? So that's a really good positive about this game. It has a really, really cool mechanic of both being able to be on the field for gathering and all that, as well as warring and so forth and so on. But the flip side of it is that the game is indeed fairly laggy in the most intense times. So because the way the mechanics in this game work, they have these very cool animations where, as you can see, your marches are marching, and if you send smaller size marches the amount of troops you have out here are smaller. And so there is this really cool animation factor to this game. The problem is that just as it's good, it's also bad. It's causing problems when it comes to lag, when it comes to latency of the game. So looks like our third march is the one that we didn't take out. So when you see us fighting right here against this barbarian, for example, you'll notice that the fight has some animations and the numbers of the damage pop up and all that, but in a higher intensity environment when there are multiple marches, and we're talking hundreds of marches, the game gets fairly laggy, and it's a problem that they've been trying to fix, and they should have been fixing a while back, but it is a negative in this game that is very important to point out. A positive in this game is the ginormous amount of kingdoms available right now. Our community is huge. I believe we've crossed the 1,000 kingdoms. If we go take a quick peek, let's go see what's our latest kingdom in here. I'm sitting in kingdom 59, but as of right now, there should be more than that. 984 kingdoms available in the game, with 3 of them opening up as of very, very recently. 4 of them opening up as of very recently. So kingdoms are opening every day. Folks are joining the game, and there is the ability for you to migrate in between kingdoms. In case you have a friend who started earlier than you and now you want to create an account in his kingdom, you can migrate there. If you meet some folks and they want to go somewhere else to a better environment, you're able to do that and all that good stuff. So the next positive is the ability for you to move your account along the way wherever you want to go. If the environment is bad, your investment doesn't go out the window, you can always change the scene. The flip side of that, and the negative part of it, is that getting passport pages, which are required to migrate off, is fairly hard and expensive. Even if you get lucky and your alliance decides to put some pages in their alliance shop, those cost a good 600,000 individual points, which are a good amount. I've been holding on to individual points for a very long time now, and it is tough. It's very, very expensive to migrate as a stronger player. The cost of migration varies as you grow in game, and the unfortunate part of it is that it's a very, very heavy pay to play kind of mechanic. You're going to be spending 380, 75, 85 bucks for 29, 32, 25 passport pages. I was like, what, 29? 25 passport pages will cost you almost 400 bucks. And at the top tier, it'll cost you 75 pages to migrate. So migrating is expensive if you're a higher tier player, but if you are below the 25 million power, it's fairly feasible with time to get there, with a little bit of an investment. With less than $20, you can put yourself in a really, really good place. Well, with $30, you can migrate yourself off essentially as a 25 million power and below. So that's not the worst thing on earth. As a free-to-play player, though, you're going to have to grind a lot to get these individual individual alliance points, which you can then convert into passport pages. But that is, again, so long as your alliance places them in the shop. Why am I still playing Rise of Kingdoms? And this is almost 2 years later. Rise of Kingdoms is a crazy game. I've, for a couple times now, considered quitting. I was like, yeah, that's it for me. But then after half a day without it, I'm like, I need to scratch that itch. It's either you send the gatherers out or you go out hunting barbarians for AP. There's always an event going on, and there's always people online. The people online in the kingdom are the best people. And so for me, what matters are the folks that I play with more than anything else. But the game mechanics are just so fun. Every time we get to do an Ark of Osiris with defense and offense and attacking and all that, and all the craziness that is Ark of Osiris, KVKs where we get to meet new people. Last KVK, I never knew Kingdom 256, and now I really like those guys. They're cool people. I got to meet them through KVK. The reason I play is the community, is the fact that I get to make content about it and I get to showcase the community. That's what this channel is all about, really. It's about showcasing what the community does and what happens in other kingdoms. I do make content about my own kingdom, about my own account and my own journey, but the vast majority of what I like to do is to show what the world is doing in Rise of Kingdoms, what other kingdoms are doing to compete with each other, to do all these things from warring in KVKs to civil wars to crazy reports and records broken and all that stuff. That's why I'm here. I've been told that I'm an opportunistic person lately, which is kind of fun. That all that I care for is the channel, and the funny thing is that is not necessarily right, but it's also not necessarily wrong. I always said that I play content first, which means if I need to do something for content, I will do it. Sometimes it'll annoy my alliance mates and sometimes it will not. It's just how it is. So for me, content is the most important part, but it's not because of the channel, but rather because of the community. When you get to create this content for all of you guys to get to enjoy it and to come together through the streams and through the KVK war videos and the Civil War videos, and so many of you hit me up and go, this guide of yours saved me a lot of time. This Civil War was very similar to our situation. I showed that video to my kingdom and now we're changing our ways to not end up like them. And those kinds of messages are the reason why I play this game. The mechanics are still unexplored in my opinion. There's still so much more that can be done in here. But the problem is lag. Lag really hurts this game. But I believe one day it'll get better. Why should you play Rise of Kingdoms? Because honestly, it's addictive. And the moment you start, you're never going to want to stop. Or, well, maybe when you get zeroed and mad and all that. But still, I say give it a shot. I've played a couple of these games, from Iron Thrones to Lords Mobile to a bunch of other very similar games like this one. And Lords Mobile did hook me up for a year or two, in the sense of I got hooked up bad on that game. But it was much more pay to win than this one is. Much harder for non-spenders. This one was so relatively balanced that early on I didn't spend much, and to this day I don't spend that much, and I'm still able to keep up fairly well. And I know a lot of folks who keep up really well, not being in the top alliance in the game or something like that. I encourage you to give it a shot. I encourage you to try it out and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you're part of this community, how would you welcome new players into Rise of Kingdoms? Let me know down below. I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. I appreciate every single one of you. Drop the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. I apologize. The past couple of videos were a little bit like, I would say they feel like filler videos kind of thing, like talking about these generic subjects. Work has been a little crazy, and I keep like getting home, recording, and putting the video out rather than being a couple of days ahead, which is what I'm usually at. It just tells you how much work I have at this point, and full-time software engineer as well as this, and maintain an apartment and all that. It's just, sometimes it happens. I appreciate those of you who are still supporting the channel. Hopefully a Civil War video tomorrow. We'll see. Take care and have a good one. See you guys on Saturday. Peace.